じゃあ、早速お時間来ましたので、始めていければと思います。今回の01ブースターカンファレンスでですね、欧米では当たり前、ベンチャー連携の先端手法、スタートアップスカウティングとはというセッションを実施させていただきます。私、01ブースターの川島と申します。本日はよろしくお願いします。で、本日ですね、欧州でスタートアップスカウティングという活動に特化したソフトウェアを提供している、ノバブル社の CEO の方と、あとカスタマーサクセスのヘッドの方、お二人をお招きしております。で、スタートアップスカウティング、こちらの日本であまり耳馴染みがない方もいらっしゃるかもしれませんが、欧米では結構よく使われる方法論になってまして、オープンイノベーションの方法論ですね。で、今回そちらの中身に関して、日本と、欧米の状況の違いとかも踏まえつつ、いろいろお話を伺っていければというふうに考えております。で、まず私の方から簡単にイントロさせていただいて、その後お二人にお話を聞くような形で進めていければと思いますので、皆さん約1時間ですね、お付き合いいただければと思います。よろしくお願いします。また、セッションの中盤から英語に言語メインになるんですけども、字幕が、こちらにつくようになってますので、日本語しかわからない方でもご安心してお話聞いていただければと思います。はい。じゃあちょっと私の少し自己紹介させていただきますが、ゼロブサで取締役及び、グループ会社のイノスカウターという形で、会社で代表を務めさせていただいてます、川島と申します。で、ゼロブスターではこのスタートアップスカウティングっていう業務、新規事業として01スカウティングプログラムっていうのを立ち上げさせていただいたりとかしていてですね、この分野に関して、一定、この1年間で経験してきたので、そのあたりの知見とかご共有できればなというふうに思っております。で、今回弊社のカンファレンスなのもあって、ゼロブースターの概要とかは、ご存知の方もいらっしゃるかもしれませんが、弊社ですね、このオープンイノベーションとか、新規事業開発という文脈で、様々なアングルからご支援をさせていただいている、事業創造に関することなら何でもやるという、そんな感じの会社でございます。はい。じゃあ早速本題の方に入っていただければと思います。まず、スタートアップスカウティング、こちらのあまり聞いたことない方もいらっしゃると思うので、少しご説明をさせていただきますと、スタートアップとの連携活動ですね。こんな感じのフローに大体なっているかと思います。まずどんなテーマで連携していくのかっていうのを決めて、そこで探していって、で、投資なのであれば DD とか、協業であれば POC とか、こうやって最後、協業投資に至っていくっていう、こういうプロセスですね。で、スカウティングという活動なんですが、このソーシングの部分に主に関連してくるような活動になってまして、ほぼ同じではあるんですけども、ソーシングの一部の活動のことをスカウティングって呼んでいるようなところになっております。で、オープンイノベーションですね。いわゆるアクセラレータープログラムだったりとか、このイノベーションチャレンジ、ビジネスプランコンテストみたいな、このビジネスプランを集める、外部から提案を募るっていうような、この偶発的出会いを狙って事業機会を見つけるっていうような、そういったここでいうコホート型ですね。っていうような活動が多分今までは主流で、弊社でもこういうことを支援させていただいてるんですが、このスタートアップスカウティングっていうのは、この右側のファネル型っていうような活動になってまして、実際にこの、決めたテーマに対して、関連する企業のリストを作っていって、そこに特にイベント形式ではなく、もう、個別にアプローチしていくというような、そんな形のアプローチになってまして、一定テーマを決めて個別にアタックしていくので、偶発性っていう意味ではちょっと落ちるんですけども、これ計画的に特定のテーマに対して、一定の規模の企業さんとお会いして、実際に、協業プランを練っていくっていうことができる。そういうファネル型のアプローチになってます。はい。で、欧米ではっていうところは、後半のノバブルさんのお話で、いろいろお伺いできるかなと思うんですが、こちらはデンマークのとある、アンケートのデータになるんですけども、スタートアップスカウティングという活動を結構やられている企業さんとかは、それに特化したスタートアップソーシングプラットフォームっていうような、そういうツールを使いながら、そういう活動をやったりもしてるってぐらい結構普及しているような活動になっております。じゃあなんで日本ではあんまり、認知されてないのかっていうところなんですが、これはオープンイノベーションに限らず、イノベーションの活動の歴史をまとめた、ほんとざっくりした年表みたいなところにはなってるんですけども、実はこういうイノベーション活動の歴史ってすごい長くてですね、1914年にこの CVC が初めてデュポンさんとか GM さんという企業さんで誕生して、こんな形で、新しい動きがどんどん出てきているんですけども、この黄色のところは日本での動きで、青いところが海外の動きになってるんですが、日本だとですね、大体2019年ぐらいにこのコーポレートアクセラレータープログラムっていうのがすごいブームになりまして、いろんな企業様が始められて、でちょっと2021年ぐらいにCVC がめちゃくちゃ増えてですね、ブームになってっていうトレンドがあるんですけども、実はこのスタートアップスカウティングっていう活動が普及する前に、このアクセラレーターだったりとか、CVC とか、この別の手法が日本では流行っていったっていうのが背景にあるのかなというふうに考えております。で、これ弊社で昨年ぐらいからちょっと申し上げているコーポレートイノベーションジャーニーっていうフレームみたいなのを作って出してるんですけども、ここで言うとまず情報収集っていう緩い段階があって、その後スカウティング、アクセラレーター、CVC M&A と 上っていく形になるんですが、このスカウティングを経ずにですね、アクセラレーターとか CVC に着手される企業さんが多かったっていうのが、日本の特殊性になっているのかなというふうに思っております。で、スカウティングの中身に関しては、また、後半いろいろ聞いていけばなと思うんですけども、ちょっと前出しとしてですね、スカウティングで、このソーシングの一部ですよってお話をさせていただいたと思うんですが、ソーシングの方法論自体は結構いろんなアプローチがありまして、スカウティングというのはそのうちの一部ですね。アウトバウンド型で、この大企業の方から、大企業あるいは中堅企業の方から、この特定のテーマ、例えばメタバースとか Web3、さらに絞り込んだ形でテーマ決めていって、そこに対して個別にリストを作ってアプローチしていくっていうような活動なんですが、当然このスカウティングが相性がいい、目的と、そうでもない目的みたいなのがあったりするわけですね。で、こちら、ご参考までに、こんな形でソーシング手法というのは多様だということを、ご認識いただければなと思います。はい。で、スカウティング相性がいいところもシンプルに、どんな領域で事業展開したいとか、どんなテーマでこのスタートアップ連携したいみたいなのが、一定程度明確である場合ですね。この場合はめちゃくちゃおすすめ。で、それが明確でない場合は、まずそこを明確にするところからやる必要があるかなと。そんなところでございます。で、またスカウティングの場合、テーマがすごい絞られていく形になるので、日本だとスタートアップ企業って大体1万2000社ぐらいいるっていうふうに言われてるっていうデータがあったりするんですが、例えばお隣の韓国で3万社ぐらいいると言われてたりとか、北米39万社いるとか、中国10万社いるとか、ちょっと桁が違うんですけど、こういうのもあってですね、テーマを絞れば絞るほど、国内だけじゃなくて、グローバルでもこういったスカウティング活動をやっていった方が、打率が上がるっていうのがあるのかなというふうに考えております。で、実際日本の大企業さんもですね、結構グローバルでもそのスカウティング活動をやられているケースも多くて、これはマインドザブリッツさんっていう、イノベーションコンサルさんのデータなんですが、シリコンバレーにイノベーションハブとか、そういう拠点を設けている企業の国籍をデータとしてまとめたものになるんですけども、もう日本がダントツで多くてですね、72社ぐらいが、その日本からシリコンバレーにこのイノベーションハブのような拠点を設けて、現地でVC とネットワーキングしたりとか、あとスタートアップをスカウティングしに行ったりということを、かなり他の国と比べてもアグレッシブにやっているというようなところでございますね。で、その次がその次はアメリカともちょっと変な話なんですけど、アメリカの企業だったり、フランスだったりという形で、海外連携をどんどんトップランナーを進めているっていうようなところがあられるのかなと思いますね。で、またこれノバブルさんのご説明いろいろ行って出てくると思うんですが、ノバブルさんですね、このスカウティングに特化したツールっていうものを出していたりするんですけども、こういうツールを出されている企業さんが結構いくつかいらっしゃったりするというぐらい、このスカウティングって活動は結構当たり前になってきているというようなところでございます。はい。で、当然弊社でもいろいろこの辺のお手伝いをさせていただいていて、詳細はここではあまり触れないんですけども、この、どんなスカウティングテーマで探しに行くのかっていうところをトレンドをメタバースとか Web3 みたいなメガトレンドを起点にさせていただいたりとか、あるいは事業部門の課題をベースにさせていただいたりして、そこに対してリストを作ってアプローチするというようなこともやっていたりしてますね。大体早ければ2ヶ月ぐらいで、そのスカウティングのところまで至れるっていうような活動を支援させていただいたりもしております。で、トレンドベースの場合、こんな形で50スライドぐらいのレポートを作らせていただいて、まずこのマクロ環境とか、そのマーケットに関する知見を作った上で、テーマ絞ってアプローチしていくっていうようなことをやっておりますね。で、スカウティングこんな形で、弊社の専用のこのイノスカウターっていう、私が代表を務めている子会社でもあるんですが、それがこのスカウティングに関するいわゆるサースですね、を作っているのもあってですね、それ使いながらいろいろやっているというところでございます。なので、スカウティングのところをソフトウェアと、あとハンズオンという両輪で支援させていただいているというところになりますので、今日はちょっとこの弊社の少しの知見と、あともっと先行されているノバブルさんの知見をちょっと合わせて、いろいろこのスカウティングってところに関してお話ができればなというふうに考えておりますということで、私のちょっとイントロの方は以上とさせていただければと思います。じゃあ、ここからですね、ノバブルさんの方にマイクを渡してというか、マイクを渡して、もっと詳細な話を聞いて、最後にちょっといろいろ質疑応答していければなというふうに思います。So, Laurent-san, my turn is done. So now it's your turn. Could you please share your screen?
Yes.
Thank you.
Up. Okay.
Yeah, I can see your screen.
Great. Thank you, Takeo, and thank you to Scouter and 01Booster for inviting us and giving us this opportunity. It's really interesting. I'm Laurent, CEO and co-founder of Novable, which is a Belgian-based a startup scouting or innovation scouting company. And I will, in the next few minutes, explain in a nutshell why we do exist, what we are doing, and why we are doing this. We are working in the corporate innovation area, and more specifically in the corporate venturing area. And after that, Manuel, head of customer success at Novable, will do a kind of guided tour of the Novable platform, illustrating the main principles. So we do exist because we know that large companies turn to startups more and more to drive their innovation agenda. And that reminds me of a tweet from John Chambers, former Cisco systems chairman, who once tweeted that 40% of all businesses will die within the next 10 years if they can't figure out how to accommodate innovative technologies. And the reason why Novable exists is that we want to avoid that slaughter. We want to help them identify, validate, and engage with the most relevant innovations worldwide to drive their transformation agenda. Because we know that they need to do that. Nowadays, there is a lot of challenges in the world. You know, pandemic, new generation, economic crisis everywhere. So there's a lot of things to do by corporations to adapt to this new world. And the size of the task is so huge that they need to require an external help. So they turn to open innovation, and they do so more and more. And we can estimate that the market now, it's a more than $300 billion market with three main use cases. So why do large companies turn to startups? First, to run open innovation programs. You talk about it, as far as I understood your slides, on R&D partnerships, on open innovation programs. Another big use case is the corporate venture capital, so companies investing money in smaller startups to diversify their bets in uncertain times. And this can lead also to M&A deals and acquisitions. So if you combine all this, it's a growing market, already quite big. And we consider that the golden age is yet to come. A couple of studies from Big Four, big consulting companies, stated that, and McKinsey stated that more than 80% of large European companies in this case, but we believe it's global, believe it's important to collaborate with startups. And if you add to that the Boston Consulting Group, having studied that 65% of them already worked or collaborated with startups in the past 3 years, it makes a lot of companies starting to understand how important it is. And you can see that with the figures of the corporate-backed venture deals, which is a growing trend. We saw a small downturn in 2021 due to the COVID-19 crisis, but globally it's a rising trend, and it's a clue showing that the rising interest of large corporates and large companies towards startups. And when I say that the golden age is yet to come, you have a couple of key drivers pushing this trend. The first is that we have, as I said earlier, global challenges. You have this climate change, the pressure for sustainability within corporate governance, the COVID-19. There is emerging global issues requiring a new thinking. So it's not just only designing new products or services. It needs to revamp or re-engineer the way we work, communicate, collaborate, and even live. And so this is very, very intense, and the task is so huge that they can't do that alone. You also have a kind of competitive pressure to innovate because the world goes faster and faster, and at some point, the innovation has become a mandatory exercise much more than ever. And the last point maybe is that we see a new generation entering the workplace, more than millennials, let's say, that can sometimes disregard corporate careers to the benefit of more meaning and more entrepreneurship. So we will soon see the same kind of people at both sides of the corporate venturing table. And so it leads to the conclusion, and then PwC stated that CVC is becoming an even more important component of the innovation ecosystem. And we are deeply in this trend. We want to help connect the brightest minds, you know, the creativity of the startups and founders with the industrial power of large companies, and to enable these innovation flows going over and over, we have to connect those two worlds. And sometimes the connection is not that seamless, because we noticed that a lot of corporations turning to startups develop channels and organizations outside the company walls. You know, they use corporate accelerators, corporate venture capital funds, hackathons, or innovation labs. So we don't see startups entering buildings or corporate buildings yet, and we want to make those innovation fluids more seamless. And this is why we do exist. The fact is that even if large companies have understood that turning to startup is important, they still use tools and channels that may seem outdated. So they attend events, they organize hackathons, as I say, or they use Google or startup databases. The fact is that there is a lot of limitations in that, because more and more their requirements are more and more precise, nuanced, complex. And when you type in those requirements in a startup database or even Google, you have a lot of garbage, because those databases don't have the actual activity data on all those innovative companies. They have financials, they have firmographics, that's pretty useful for investment cases. But when you work with innovation, the first thing you need to know is, what is this company actually doing? Okay, products, services, methodologies, technologies, patents, and all this content is not easily available in those startups. And with Google, you have so many information that you will find your first startup at the middle of the third page. And so the only way to solve this is to adopt a bottom-up approach using semantics, and with the advanced opportunities of technologies like natural language processing and AI, we can develop this bottom-up approach. And what we do is that we struggle against what we call the SAT syndrome, because when you spend thousands of hours analyzing candidates that you will eventually disqualify at the end of the process, you lose time and you become completely drained out, what we call the SAT syndrome, because you spot, analyze, drop, and repeat. So there is no the technology to help you with that. And the technology can do 80% of the task on your behalf, so that you can focus on the commercial fit or the cultural fit on the deal and not on the fit itself. And so this is what Novable has developed and is doing. So we have developed what we call the smartest innovation scouting platform on earth. Why? Because we adopt this bottom-up approach. We calculate a proximity score, semantically speaking, between a complex briefing and the full range of activity and content-based data that all startups have to offer and that we have collected with crawling. So we have collected a database of more than 2.1 million innovative companies with a lot of contextual information. Of course, a few financials, but also website content, social feeds, funders' backgrounds, mentions in the news, patents, everything that can help us create this proximity score and deliver in a matter of milliseconds a ranked list of top fitting candidates based on the input you gave. And the input you gave can be very complex, a couple of pages. Manuel will show you that in a minute. And I will just show you a 2-minute video before leaving the mic to Manuel. And this summarizes a little bit what I've just said, but maybe with better pictures than my face. Okay.
Everything in life and business comes from ideas. Over the next 10 years, around 50% of all Fortune 500 companies will be replaced, and at least 40% of all businesses will die if they can't figure out how to accommodate new technologies and innovation. The life expectancy of large companies is declining as startups enter the market at a rapid pace. Large companies have now understood that engaging with startups has become a business imperative and a crucial factor of their innovation, growth, or transformation strategies. However, with thousands of startups popping up everywhere, it's difficult to find the right needle in the haystack. Scouting and analyzing each startup candidate takes a lot of time and eventually leads to disqualification. This is where Novable enters the game. We are building the fastest corporate venturing platform on Earth, combining human and artificial intelligence. We connect companies with the brightest entrepreneurs, the most relevant startups matching their unique strategy. Partnering with Novable, it's having one-click access to millions of startups worldwide. It's having our AI-powered scouting technology spotting the best ones for your specific project in seconds. It's having an extended corporate venturing team, the Novable agents, putting their expertise at work for your needs. They go the extra mile to add a tremendous value to what the AI can do. Tailored scouting campaigns, startup evaluation, startup engagement. You can rely on them to make your innovation initiatives easy, fluid, collaborative, and proactive. So, will you keep your ideas idle? Let's talk.
So it was a short summary, and I will now leave the floor to Manuel, who will introduce you to the Novable platform, show you how it works, and maybe give you an example or two. In one of those use cases, you see that scouting for innovations can happen throughout the full life cycle of innovation within an organization, from inspiration to acquisition. Okay, I will stop sharing, and Manuel, you can take the floor.
All right, thank you, Laurent. はじめまして、Novable のマニュエルと申します。よろしくお願いします。私の日本語は弱いです。So I will continue in English if you don't mind. Thank you very much, Kawashima-san, for this opportunity to present what we're doing. As a little bit of context, I am the head of customer success at Novable, and previously I have been working with large Japanese corporations for many years. So I hope that insight can also help you and Japanese corporation understand better what we're doing. And if you have any questions, I think we can adapt and a little bit talk better how we can present this to Japanese corporations. So here is what the tool looks like. I hope you can all see my screen. This is what the tool looks like when you start using Novable. And I think that a key factor for Japanese corporation to know is that this is a hybrid approach. It means that on the one side, you have the AI and the algorithm that do the work for you, but you also connect with a Novable agent that provides support. And I know that support is a big thing. You need to have someone to talk to when you have questions, when you see issues, if you're not sure about something. So we are totally supporting our customers. It's always a human that does the interaction with the company. So hybrid approach. Now, quickly, how does it work? We first together with the customer, write a briefing, what we call a briefing. A briefing is a sentence or multiple sentences that explain exactly what we're looking for. In this case, I have taken an example for vertical farming innovations. And the briefing, the strategy that was submitted by the company was, I'm looking for leafy greens, technologies for vertical farming, production of innovative farming system, indoor farming, and so on. So it's a sentence. That's what we call a semantics search, which is crucial because when you're looking for innovation, more often than not, you don't know precisely what you're looking for. So working with keywords can be very time consuming. Whereas when you explain it, just like you would send an email to your collaborators to explain what it is that you're looking for, it truly helps narrow down the topics of your research. So in this case, just a sentence, not keywords. The full sentence explains what they're looking for. And from there, we can do the work of our tool. The algorithm will look up the companies, and the Novable agent will screen those to filter out the companies that are not relevant to you. And they will then deliver to you what we call a golden basket. A golden basket is just a bundle of companies, typically around 10 to 30 companies that are really targeting what you're looking for. And from this golden basket, and you receive a notification when the golden basket is ready, you can sift through the company, you can read their data. We try to give a lot of contextual data around it. One sentence, general information, what are the topics on the website, if they have news that we can read about them, and a little one-pager of their website, so it gives a further idea. If this is not enough, we can always click down on their website and check directly with them. And we can also request further information on that company. And that's for all companies. We miss the corporate users will then match or miss the company. They say, okay, this is really a company I'm interested in, so I can add them to match, or this is actually not really interesting for me. Once you are done missing or matching all the companies in your golden basket, they will appear in match and miss, so you can easily get back to it and have the list of the companies you're interested in. But also you can request a new iteration. So that means that we work with small bundle of companies that you can easily review and very fast. You don't have thousands of companies to go through. And then once you're done tagging them, if it's a miss or a match, you can request new companies. And that means that our algorithm can further refine the research. So we understand now better what the algorithm and the agent, they both understand better what companies you're looking for. And so the second golden basket that you will receive will be even more targeted and even more relevant. And we do this as many times as it takes for you to find what you're looking for. So we iterate until happiness is what we call it. You can also have an insight about, what is the size of the companies? How old are they? Where are they in the world? How funded they are, what were the keywords that are mainly taken into account, how close they are between one another, according to the briefing, the strategy that we have sent. And so you also have some graphic information about those companies. Also, you have a little tool that can feed your thought process. We call it the real-time search, where you can type in keyword and choose the countries and geographies that you're interested in, and it will give you instantly 20 results. This is useful because you can then have a look of what are the key players in a field. If you say, let's say electronics, for instance, and you want semiconductors, electronics, and you want to see what companies are innovative in that field, you can get 20-something companies. This is not filtered by an agent, it's immediate results. So some companies will be less relevant, and it's only 20 results per search. So it's just to feed the thought process, to adapt a little bit, and then we make it a campaign, what we call a campaign. and the campaign is what I've just shown you. Yeah, I think I'm gonna stop it now. It's not useful to explain all the features, but basically we're making it easy for you to find what you're looking for by cutting the work of having to slice through Google or databases. So instead of thousands of results, you receive 20 results that are highly targeted. You select if it's good or not for you, and then you receive even more targeted result the next time.
Okay, thank you, Mania-san. So yeah, thank you. So I think actually I have a lot of questions, but the time is just maybe roughly 15 minutes around. So I think I'm gonna limit my scope. Anyway, first of all, I have to apologize. So my pronunciation of Novable was wrong. Novable is the right one, right? So sorry for that.
Both are fine. No problem.
Both are fine. Cool. So first question, it's actually a little bit high level question. So I want to ask one thing. So I think Japan and European countries, states, of course, every country has different kind of situation, especially in the corporate innovation thing. So Japan, I explained in my presentation like the history of our Japanese corporate innovation. And in 2019, there was a huge boom of a corporate accelerator. And 2021, it's a boom of CVC. So now what's going to be next? I think that's going to be our kind of topic for most of the Japanese corporates. But in European countries or states, how do you see like what's kind of movement about their corporate accelerators or CVCs or startup scouting, like small team by leveraging your platform? How the markets look like before?
Yeah, I can try to answer that. I don't know the specifics in Japan, of course. Even if we operate globally, we have a database with startups coming from nearly every country in the world, including Japan, of course. But what we see in other parts of the world we already work with or work in is that first of all, we see more and more corporations structure their corporate venturing activities in entities, in organized entities, and it can take several forms. It can be corporate venture capital fund, corporate accelerator, corporate innovation labs, including external actors, but also some competitors sometimes. But the common thread is that it's always, as I said earlier, outside the company walls. When it comes to real R&D and innovation partnerships, it's deeply involved in R&D projects in the value chain, and the initiative comes directly from people who put their hands dirty in the industrial process itself. So when it's structured, it's more, those organizations adopt the codes and the rules of venture capital. They talk about cohorts, about pitch, about coaching, about mentorship. So it stays quite far from the core of the reactor. And so it's difficult for startups to collaborate at the middle of the core business, because the initiatives must come from engineers, R&D managers, etc. So we see a very slow organization where innovation managers centralize industrial requests from throughout all organizations and structure their scouting approach. But it's beginning to change, and we see slight changes. It's quite slow, but I think it's going into the right direction. When it comes to Japan, I can't say, but I believe it's since it's a global trend, it will go, or it's already going, I don't know, into that direction.
Thank you. So I guess the direction could be similar in future. But historically, like most of Japanese corporates rather rely on, how should I say, like traditional methods, like to participate in pitching events, or to use matchmaking platform, or to run some like an inbound program, like our open innovation program, or like innovation challenge and so on. Of course, there are some benefits for that, but it's they need to mix whole things, because like a scouting or open innovation program, they have a different kind of value proposition, I guess. So I think that's what we are facing right now. So maybe eventually the Japanese corporates also put more resources on scouting team or scouting stack and so on, and combine other like programs, then structure more strongly. I don't know, but maybe
I can maybe add something there.
Sure.
What's interesting is, so the traditional approach to innovation, the problem is it's usually a closed network, people you know of, you've heard of. There are two problems with this. First of all, you're missing on a lot of opportunities and people that are less visible. And second, you're targeting the people who are being targeted by also your competitors and everybody around. So a company that is visible on Google, on traditional databases or search engines, they will be targeted by everybody. Whereas a lot of very interesting companies don't put any focus on being high on the rankings in Google. And so you cannot find them easily. And with the right scouting strategy, you can find really hidden gems, some people that nobody has thought of before or haven't heard of. And it will come up, and you're thinking, oh, how come I've never heard of those guys? And those are typically the guys that will really rise in the future. But currently, when they are in the innovation process, when they're young startups, they are not easily found because they don't have the means to optimize their websites, to optimize their pitch deck. They're focusing on building what matters to them. And having the right scouting strategy enables you to find them early on and to make a strategic partnership with them before anybody else. And that has a lot of value. Just to add on this.
Yeah. Thank you. I totally agree with that. And then other question come up regarding that. I think right scouting strategy is quite important, but at the same time, it's a bit difficult for some, newbies in a sense. So for example, like we work with our variety of corporates, and initially there was not much strategy sometimes. So open for any structure, any verticals, open for any technologies, so not much are scoped yet. So what do you think so scoping the right scouting strategy is one of the most important things before studying that, but it's still difficult. So how do you help corporates or people to find the right scouting strategy?
Yeah, I will let Manuel answer that because it's part of his job and his team. But a word first, you spotted a real problem, because when you work with semantics, and as I said, garbage in, garbage out, if you write a bad strategy, you will have bad results. It's mathematical. So, but on the other side, if you write a very good strategy, you will have very good results. And why? Because algorithms are very smart, but they're not omniscient. And so they just execute what you tell them. And so how do we manage that? Two ways. First is the support from Novable agents, experts in corporate venturing, innovation, that can speak the startup slang, I'd say. And second, we also have the help of AI. Let's take an example. If you're looking for something you don't master yourself, you don't know the jargon of it. So it's very difficult to write the right word. How do those professionals use as terms? But DAI can help you there, because we have developed an algorithm that identifies the target domain you're trying to explore and suggests automatically most common terms and expressions coming from this targeted domain to help you better target it. Two small hints that, of course, it's not enough. Manuel, if you want to complete this.
Yes, absolutely. So this is indeed key. That's what we realized early on at Novable, is that giving a tool is not enough. A lot of people need a support and need to be accompanied. So that's what we're doing. That's why we have built this hybrid approach, and that's what also is very unique to us. So if you don't have a corporate strategy, or it's still early on and you're still figuring out how to do it, it's a great moment to call us or to work a little bit with us. It doesn't mean that you have to become a customer, but we are here to guide you a little bit because we have experience from our multiple customers and our own expertise. And so we will take you by the hand and guide you through the process of finding the right companies and writing down a good strategy briefing. So we know exactly what a good strategy briefing looks like, and that's why we do it with you. And the more you use the tool, the more you can structure your own process internally. So it's really a win-win situation. If you already have a great strategy, you already have a good organization, maybe a business unit that's done, this business unit will go much faster with a scouting tool. And if you don't, then we are here also to help you. And by using the tool, you will know how to structure your team and how to get better and better at scouting. So it's really winning both ways all the time. And that's why we have taken this hybrid approach. Yeah. So Novable agent with the support, guiding you through, listening to you, and helping you finding the right strategy and the right matches. And then the tool that helps the agent and yourself finding the companies.
Thank you. That totally makes sense. Yeah, I actually we do something similar approach. So I totally can imagine that. Anyway, do you have any training topics for most of our clients right now? Like, I don't know, some ESG, something like that. If you have anything like that, could you please share a little bit?
I will also
scouting,
let Manuel, I will also let Manuel answer that, but also a couple of forwards. First of all, there is a lot of things that are confidential, of course, when you go into details, because they work with in corporate strategies. And so it's very, and we have huge liabilities. So, and second, if we try to identify patterns, lately there was a growing percentage of campaigns related to sustainability in general, economies of energy, climate change, and all those sustainability issues. Because large companies are forced by authorities and regulators to do so. And we'll have been, it's more than half of them are somewhat related to that.
Yeah, and to give still a little ideas, so of course I cannot mention the name of the customers, but it can be the type of briefings and strategies we're answering can be as specific as, let's say, we're looking for a technology that can refine petroleum coke and give it a purity of higher than 99.75%. And these can include thermal breaking down or other technologies, but not chemical breakdown, for instance. And this is super specific. Maybe there is 1 or 2 companies in the world, if any, that can do this, and we find them. So that's what's really interesting, is that you can be super specific and we still can find results. So you can use that tool to see if there are competitors on the new technologies, or if a new technology exists. You don't know if it exists, so you don't know how to look for it. Great, we can help you do that. With semantic search, you just explain around it and we see if someone is doing it and we can find it. Or it can be as large as, I'm looking for all the companies storing carbon from the air, or capturing and storage of carbon in the air. And then this is wide, because a lot of companies are addressing this with a lot of different ways. So this is a briefing that's going to be very large. Typically, we tend to think it's not too specific enough, because you will still have hundreds, if not thousands, of companies to sift through. So we need to be more specific, but that's fine. And you will see it when you get results. So the briefings can be super specific, they can be extremely broad, or you can also go as simple as, I have a competitor, here is his website, here is my website, now I want you to find all other competitors. And our tool is really good at analyzing a website extracting the relevant topics of the website and finding similar websites. And we have requests for, in terms of the markets, we have requests from the defense and military. We have requests from men health and new medicine for male. We have requests for trading agents. What is there any supplements that they can take or medicine that can enhance their capability of making the right decision? So this is also broad and narrow at the same time. It's a very strange topic, and yet we find a lot of relevant results. So I hope this answers your question. So I give a little examples. It can be highly technical, targeted. It can be really broad, general. It can be market specific or across industries, and we will find relevant matches. And just to finish it up, to just address the performance of the tool, we have recently been tasked by a world leader in insurance companies to do a very specific insurance research on a topic they had already researched previously. So it was deep within their comfort zone. They knew exactly what companies they were looking for, they were waiting to see. And they asked us to perform that campaign to assess and to evaluate us. It turns out that 50% of the companies we found, they either knew the name, but they hadn't thought that these companies could actually fit their needs, or they didn't know at all. And that was a big surprise for them.
Yeah, Manuel, sorry for interruption. I think our only 2-3 minutes left. So let me kind of, answer was very detailed. So I think actually you covered my next question. So I'm so happy with that. So anyway, before finishing up, let me explain a little bit in Japanese for some, detail thing. さあ、皆さんありがとうございます。で、この後ですね、アンケートのご回答をお願いする形になりますので、アンケートの方で、ノバブルさんと話したい方は、ちょっとその項目を選んでいただいたりとか、できるようにしてますので、ご興味ある方、ぜひ、どしどしご回答いただければと思いますね。で、英語に自信ない方いらっしゃっても、弊社の方で日本語でサポートもできますので、特にご遠慮せずに、その旨をご記載いただければなと思います。はい。So, I think we're going to finish up, but if we have something to say to Japanese listeners, please, both of you guys.
I think that it's worth mentioning that we also use translation tools. They are not as efficient as a person, let's be honest, but we're using translation tools, so we can even spot Japanese websites and understand the key areas of business of that company. And so we have a lot of innovative companies in our database that are in Japan. So do not think that we are the world, but not Japan, because that is not the case. However, I think that for optimal support, probably Kawashima-san or someone from his team will be best suited to really answer your question, though. If you speak a little bit of English, I can of course be there and my team to help you. And anyway, we're all here with you. It's a tool with support and with human interaction. Yeah,
that's perfect.
Okay, so nothing from Laurent-san? You cool? Okay, so では、はい。じゃあ、こちらで終了とさせていただきます。皆さん、約1時50分ですかね。にわたりご清聴いただきありがとうございました。アンケートの方ご回答お待ちしてますので、はい。ぜひよろしくお願いします。じゃあ、ありがとうございました。
バイ。
ありがとうございました。